All right, what's up? So today we're going to be making something really cool. We're going to be making a dragon tail. For those of you who don't know, a dragon tail was a weapon used by ninjas. It was essentially a spike on a rope or a chain. It was like a throwing knife on a rope so that they could throw it at somebody, they could flip it around, they could throw it, but then they could also retrieve it back because, as you know, once you throw a knife, you're done. You don't have that knife anymore. Well, this allowed you to strike an opponent with your weapon, pull it back, and strike again at a distance far greater than any knife or any sword could have been used. So now let's make it ourselves. The supplies you're going to need for this are pretty dang simple. You're going to need a drill and some metal drill bits. You're going to need an angle grinder with a cut-off blade and a polishing blade. You're going to need a piece of steel. This needs to be a pretty heavy piece of steel because the weight behind the steel is what's going to cause the momentum, which will allow you to strike your target hard enough to actually do some damage. You're going to need a Sharpie marker. You're going to need a cord or chain of your choice. I'm using 550 paracord. So those are the supplies you're going to need. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take your piece of steel and you're going to mark where you want to cut your blade. So the blade of a dragon's tail needs to be shaped. I'm just going to draw you a small version of what it's shaped like. So you have your main point. Now this is the striking point right here. So if this was your target, this would be the point that strikes it. And then it's going to come back in kind of a pentagon here. So what's going to happen, then you're going to drill a hole in the center. So your rope goes through the hole and comes out either side. That way it's evenly distributed. That way when you shoot at your weapon, the rope is pulling evenly on both sides and it allows it an even trajectory towards its target instead of pulling on one side, which would then pull it off to either side, and that would result in you missing your targets. This piece of metal actually works out perfect. This is left over from another project, but it's just about the shape I want it, and it's pretty nice and thick. So I'm going to have my point up here. So I'm just going to sketch out where I want my point to be. So if I'm going to drill my hole right here, approximately right there, and I'm going to have this as my bottom piece. So I'm going to have the sides of my pentagon be right here. Now again, I'm not a perfectionist. If you want to measure it out so you get perfect angles, that is your prerogative. I'm not going to do that, but feel free to do that. So then I'm just going to sketch because I want my point to be approximately this long. I don't have an exact measurement because this doesn't need an exact measurement, but this was not a large weapon. This was not a large piece of steel you were going to be flipping around. That was the whole point, was that it was light, it was maneuverable, and it allowed you to strike your opponents without them knowing it or being able to react. If you have a large piece of steel, it's going to be a pain in the neck to whip around. So this is what my, this area right here is going to be my blade. So now that I got it marked where I want to cut, I'm going to hit that with the angle grinder and get my piece of steel. All right, well, here we go. We got our projectile weapon. So just a reminder, this is going to be very hot after you cut it. Don't burn yourself. So now what we need to do is now we need to drill the hole for the paracord to go through. So let's do that. So the size drill bit you use doesn't really matter that much. It just needs to be large enough for the paracord to get through twice over. So, you know, I like to have a nice, decent-sized hole to work with. So I'm just going to use a 3/8 inch drill bit so I don't have to mess around and try to squeeze it through too small of a hole. No comments, anybody. So we're just going to use a 3/4 inch drill bit and just drill this right through the center. Okay, so now you got the spike for your weapon. It's finished, but it's not sharp at all, and it's got these ragged edges all over the place from the cutting. So now is the part where you take your polishing blade for your angle grinder, and not only do you sharpen up all the edges, but you also take off any of these little ragged or jagged parts that you just don't want there, and you give it a nice needle sharp point. So let's do that. All right, well, here we go. We got the blade all sharpened up. We got the nasty edges and fragments taken off all the sides, but this just is pretty dang ugly. So we need to hit this with some black paint to make it actually look like something worthwhile. Well, there we go. Now it's starting to look like a lethal ninja weapon. Got it all sharpened up, got it all painted up. So now all we have to do is attach the paracord, and this will be ready to go. So in order to attach the paracord, what you're going to do is you're going to form a simple overhand loop at the end of your cord. So what you're going to do to make that, you don't want too large of a loop, you don't want too small of a loop, just a decent sized loop like that. You want to make sure that you don't have a whole bunch of cords sticking out like a tail. So you want to make sure you tie your knot right next to where the rope ends. So I got the tail right here, so I'm just not going to give it any extra. I'm just going to form a simple overhand knot to form the loop. Pull it evenly, tighten it down. All right, so there we go. We just got a little tail. That's no problem at all. We got a nice size loop right there. That's about the size you want it. So now we're going to take this, now we're going to take our blade, and we're going to take the end of the loop and put the loop through the blade like that. So now all we're going to do is pull the rest of the cord through that loop. That forms a real simple knot. So now it looks like this. So now what you're going to do is put both sides of the loop on either side of the pentagon there and simply tighten it down. So what that does is that distributes the tension evenly on either side of this, and on the other side it distributes it evenly down the center, which allows you to have a straight velocity without fear that the rope, that an uneven knot will pull it to one side or the other and affect your impact on the target. So there you go. So now our dragon tail is attached to our paracord. So this is completely functional. This is all ready to go, and I think it looks pretty dang nice. All right, well, there you go. That's how you make a dragon's tail. I only put about a 10-foot cord on here. You can put as long or short of a cord as you want. It's really up to you. I'm not going to pretend I know how to use this. I'm not a ninja. I'm not anything even approaching that, so I can't really demonstrate how exactly to use this. You're going to have to figure that out on your own. But I can guarantee that this is fully functional, and if you got the skills, this will get the job done. So that's how you make it. That's what you do. Like, comment, subscribe. Got any other cool ninja weapons you want me to show you how to make? Post it in the comments. Have a great day.